All right, we're going to do a little bit of nest vegetation monitoring to try to estimate or evaluate nest site selection. So we've got a gadwall nest here that we've been monitoring. We actually caught this bird and put a GPS transmitter on her, and her estimated hatch date was a couple of days ago. So we come back after the nest hatches and evaluate the nest site vegetation as well as vegetation at 4 other random sites around the nest. We do those other random sites within a 200-meter radius of the nest site, and that kind of gives us an idea of, like, at this local scale, what aspects of the vegetation is she selecting for or against when picking a nest site. So if we just look at the general area, we can see it's right next to this patch of greasewood and also pretty close to a wetland over here. So I'll show you what we look for inside this nest vegetation plot. This nest actually was supposed to hatch about 2 weeks ago, but the eggs are infertile, so the hen just kept sitting on it and kept sitting on it, and she looks like she's finally given up. They're not going to hatch, so we can finally take our vegetation points. So we've got this 1 meter by 1 meter frame here, and then we also have a robel pole that you can see here. So we want to look within that 1 meter when it's centered on the nest at all the different species of vegetation we have in here and the percent cover of each of them. We include litter in that, so litter we just consider any vegetation that's dead and left over from the previous year. So everything in here that's kind of brown and underneath the living vegetation is what we consider litter. And because of that, the percent cover can be over 100%. So we can have, like in this case, 40% litter, but then 75% of this Baltic rush, which is the green stuff that you see here. To begin, we're going to look at the tallest vegetation in this plot. So we'll use our robel pole, and each of these black lines indicates 5 centimeters. We've got the numbers written on there, they're just fading a little bit. So we want to see the tallest vegetation approximately. So this looks like about 70 centimeters is what we've got for this. And then with the robel pole, we use the smaller pole, which is about 1 meter in height, and we take it 4 meters away from the main pole, and we look at the kind of density of the vegetation. So if this pole is sitting at the nest bowl, we want to go 4 meters away, get down at 1 meter eye level, and then see the highest black bar we can see through the vegetation. It doesn't have to be the highest one that's above the vegetation. We want to see, like, if a predator was looking over here from 4 meters away, what's the probability it could see through that vegetation. So we want to see how dense it is. So even if you can see, like, that bottom black sticker on there, that's what we record. So you can see it down there, that's 10 centimeters. So we'd probably record 10 for this one because the vegetation is really not that dense that you can see right through it. But if we came to the other side, for example, it's a lot harder to see down to the bottom there. So we'd see what the highest black line that we can see through that veg is. Once we've done that, we want to go through everything in this 1 by 1 plot and record the species and percent cover. So most of this plot is either litter or this Baltic rush, which is Juncus arcticus. We've got a couple other little things here. Looks like some foxtail barley maybe, and this other grass, which I believe is Timothy, which is the hay that is grown in this area. So we'll record those on here. We've got sections for bare ground, which there is a little bit in here, litter, water if they're an overwater nester, which this is not. This is actually a very bizarre spot for a scaup nest. The nearest water is about 80 meters away, so I'm not really sure what she was doing in here. Typically they do nest over water. And then we've also got some Timothy, some Baltic rush, and looks like one other little grass. And then we'll do this at the nest point and then at 4 randomly selected points. So we pick a random bearing and a random distance and we walk out to that point. And then we can compare the vegetation at those random points to the actual nest point and see what she was selecting for and against.